The wind howled across the red desert, carrying dust and broken memories. Jack adjusted his scarf and looked at the horizon. His boots sank a little into the cracked ground with each step. He had walked for 3 days without rest. His water pack was almost empty. His mission? Find the lost human research team last seen near the ruins of Calthur, a planet no human had ever returned from. His GPS blinked red. Restricted zone ahead. He smiled bitterly. That's where the truth always hides, he muttered as he climbed the last hill. The world below opened like a forgotten scar. Crumbling alien towers leaned against each other like tired giants. In the center, a narrow pass cut between 2 sharp cliffs, the only path forward. But he wasn't alone. A massive beast stood guard at the mouth of the path. Its scales were deep black, like metal soaked in fire. 4 red eyes glared from its face. Thick armor plates covered its sides, and smoke hissed from its nostrils. On its back sat a girl, not a human. She had blue skin marked with glowing tribal lines. Her silver hair was tied behind her head. She wore light battle armor, and in her hand was a long spear made of bone and alien metal. Her eyes locked on Jack like lasers. As soon as he stepped forward, the beast growled. The girl raised her spear. "You shall not pass, human," she shouted. Jack froze. Her voice was sharp, commanding, but underneath it, there was something else. A tremble? He raised both hands, palms open. "I'm not here to fight." "Liar," she said coldly. "All humans lie. You bring poison in your words and fire in your hands. I came to find people. My people, scientists, maybe even prisoners. I think they were taken here," the beast snorted. It stepped forward, claws digging into the stone. Jack didn't flinch. "You will go back," she said. "This land does not belong to your kind. You have destroyed enough." Jack took a slow breath. "Maybe we did. But that's why I'm here, to stop the mistakes, not repeat them." The girl narrowed her eyes. "You talk like peace. But your kind sends machines, not mercy." He reached into his bag and slowly pulled out a piece of paper. He unfolded it. An old photo. A team of 5 humans smiling, one of them holding hands with a small blue-skinned alien child. "Is that you?" Jack asked. Her eyes widened for a second, but only for a second. "Turn around." "Now," she said, her voice lower but still firm. Jack saw it. That flash of recognition, that small crack in her armor. He stepped back, but not away. "What happened here?" he asked. "Why are you alone? Why is a child now a warrior?" She didn't answer. The beast growled louder. Then Jack made a bold move. He sat down right there, in the middle of the path. "You're not going to kill me," he said. "If you wanted to, you already would have. I'm not leaving until I understand." For a long minute, nothing moved. The wind blew harder. The beast pawed the ground. The girl stared at him in disbelief. "Do you think this is a game?" She snapped. "I could feed you to Jacker," she said, tapping the beast's armored side. Jack smiled slightly. "Then why haven't you?" She growled and leapt off the beast. Her spear tip touched Jack's throat in one breath. He didn't blink. She studied his face, not afraid, not even nervous, just calm. "Who taught you to speak with silence?" she asked softly. "My father," Jack said. "He died in the last war. He told me, sometimes peace begins when one side stops walking." Her hand trembled slightly. "My name is Jack," he said. "I'm not a soldier, just a messenger." She lowered the spear slowly. "I am Thala," she said. Then she turned away. "You may camp there," she pointed to a rock near the cliffs. "But you do not pass this gate." "Not yet," Jack nodded. "That's enough for today." As night fell, he lit a small fire. From his corner, he saw Thala sit beside her beast. She whispered to it in her language. The creature purred purred like a cat the size of a house. Jack watched her silhouette against the firelight. A warrior. A girl. A mystery. He knew one thing for sure. The path forward was not through war, but through her. The desert night was cold. Jack pulled his jacket tighter and leaned back against a rock. His fire was low just enough to keep warm, but not enough to invite danger. He didn't sleep. Not with that beast nearby. Across from him, Thala sat in silence beside her massive companion, Jacker. The creature lay curled around her like a living wall, eyes half open, smoke still curling from its nostrils. The stars above blinked through the dusty sky. Jack had seen strange things on alien worlds before, but never like this. Not a girl riding a beast that looked like it belonged in nightmares. And never had someone looked so ready to kill him and then not done it. She had said, "You shall not pass." But she had also told him her name. Thayla. He remembered the photo again. The child with the silver hair. It had to be her. But what had happened since that picture was taken? Why was she guarding this ruin like a lone soldier? He decided to find out. At sunrise, Jack moved quietly to refill his small water tube, with dew collected in the cracks of the stone. He noticed something unusual near Thayla's camp. Footprints. Small ones. Not just hers, and not the beast's either. He crouched to examine them. The prints were light, delicate, and led toward a side path away from the main gate she guarded. Before he could investigate further, a voice snapped like a whip behind him. "You search for death?" Jack turned slowly. Thala stood there, spear in hand. Her silver hair shimmered in the sunlight. "No," he replied calmly. "Just answers." She glanced at the footprints. Her eyes turned hard. "You saw nothing. They're not yours. Not the beast's. Someone else is here." She stepped closer. "You will not follow them." Jack looked her in the eyes. "Then tell me who they belong to. Why are you guarding this place? What are you protecting?" For a moment, it looked like she might strike him. But instead, she let out a low breath and looked toward the ridge. "You are too loud for the truth," she said quietly. Then she did something he didn't expect. She whistled. Once, sharply. The beast, Jacker, lifted its head and let out a deep rumble. Thala walked to it, touched its neck gently, and whispered something. The creature huffed, then lay still again. "You want to understand?" she asked. "Then ride with me." Jack blinked. "Ride? The beast?" She raised an eyebrow. "Afraid?" He smiled. "Terrified." "Good. It means you still have sense." Minutes later, Jack was seated awkwardly behind her on the beast's armored back. Jacker's skin felt like living iron. The creature moved with shocking grace, its heavy body barely making a sound as it stepped through the canyon. They rode in silence through narrow paths, carved by time and war. Strange markings glowed faintly on the rocks, ancient symbols from a long-dead alien civilization. Jack finally spoke. "What is this place?" Thala answered without looking back. "A tomb." "A promise, a prison." Jack frowned. "That's not an answer. It's all the answers you need for now." Jacker stopped in front of a cave carved into the cliff wall. Vines hung across the entrance. Inside, it was dark. "Wait here," she ordered. Before Jack could argue, she slipped off the beast and vanished into the shadows. Jack slid off Jacker's back, careful not to show fear. The beast growled softly, but didn't stop him. He stood at the edge of the cave, heart pounding. Then he heard it, voices, whispering, faint and fast. And then, crying. Moments later, Thala emerged, holding something wrapped in cloth. She didn't speak as she climbed back onto Jacker. "What is that?" Jack asked. She didn't answer. The beast turned and began walking back the way they came. Jack climbed up again, confused and tense. As they reached the ridge, Thala finally spoke. "You think I guard this gate to stop humans, but I'm not guarding it from you." "Then from what?" She looked at him, and for the first time he saw something in her eyes. Fear. "I guard it from what's inside." Jack didn't speak. He just stared ahead at the canyon walls. He had thought the girl and the beast were the danger. Now, he realized they were the warning. The fire crackled between them. Night had returned. Jack and Thala sat in silence again, but this time, it wasn't cold silence. It was the kind of silence that holds a question no one wants to ask. Jakar, the beast, slept nearby, its breathing deep and steady like thunder buried in the earth. Jack's eyes kept drifting to the cloth bundle Thala had hidden under her armor. She hadn't explained it. He hadn't pushed, but something about her had changed since they entered the cave. She looked tired. And not the kind of tired that sleep could fix. Jack reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a small ration. Bar. He tossed one toward her. Peace offering, he said. She caught it midair, opened it with her teeth, and took a bite. Tastes like dirt. That's because it is, Jack joked. Processed dirt with chocolate flavoring. Thala didn't laugh, but her lips twitched, just a little. Jack noticed a strange mark on her upper arm. A glowing scar, shaped like a small ring, right near her shoulder. The same color as the lines that glowed faintly in her skin. He blinked. Slowly rolled up his own sleeve. A matching scar. A perfect match. His breath caught. She noticed his reaction. Her eyes narrowed. Where did you get that? She demanded. I don't know, Jack replied, stunned. I've had it since I was a child. Doctors said it was a burn mark, but no one could explain it. Thala stood, her face pale under the moonlight. That's impossible. Why? Because only my kind carry that mark, and only those who survived the chamber. Jack stood slowly. What chamber? Thala hesitated. Then she sat down again, staring into the fire. Years ago, she began, her voice low. The humans came. Not with guns. With kindness, smiles. They promised food, trade. Jack listened, not interrupting. But then they built the chamber. Her voice tightened. They said it was to help us. To enhance evolution. They tested it on orphans first. Ones no one would miss. I was one of them. She touched the scar on her arm, but it didn't just change our bodies. It changed something else. Some of us got stronger. Others didn't survive. Jack's throat felt dry. I swear, I don't remember anything like that. I was found on a mining ship as a child, no records. No parents, just this mark. Thala looked at him long and hard. Her voice was soft now. You were one of us. Jack sat down slowly. The flames flickered between them. I think someone took me away, he said. To hide the truth, she nodded. Then, we are not enemies. Jack managed to smile. That's progress. But the peace didn't last long. Jakar lifted its head suddenly and growled low and sharp. Thala shot up. Something's coming. Jack grabbed his bag and weapon. What kind of something? Metal. She mounted Jacker quickly. Drones. Within seconds, they saw them, small machines gliding silently through the air, red lights scanning the ground. 1.2. 5 of them. All headed straight toward their camp. Jack's heart raced. They followed me? Thala glared. You led them here. I didn't mean to. Jacker roared, sending an echo down the canyon. No time for guilt, Thala said. Hold on. Jack barely climbed on the beast before it took off into the night, powerful legs crashing through stone and sand. Lasers hissed through the air. One drone exploded behind them as Jacker crushed it mid-leap. Where are we going? Jack yelled. To the only place the machines can't follow. Where's that? She turned her head slightly. The ruins. Inside the tomb. Jack's blood turned cold. You said what's inside is worse. Thala didn't answer. But her grip on the bundle under her armor tightened. They didn't stop. Not even when the wind screamed louder than the machines. Not even when the stars vanished behind smoke. And not even when Jack saw the truth. The mark on his arm wasn't just a scar. It was a key, and something inside the tomb was waiting for him to return. The wind picked up like a wild beast, slamming against Jack's face with burning sand. The sky above was no longer clear. It had turned brown, thick with storm clouds and swirling dust. The desert was disappearing. A sandstorm was coming down. Thala shouted over the roar. She pulled Jacker toward the edge of a collapsed wall, half buried in stone, half covered in alien vines. There, we can hide in the old tunnel. Jack jumped off the beast and ran behind her, covering his mouth with his scarf. The sand stung like tiny blades. They pushed through a narrow crack in the stone. Darkness swallowed them. Inside the tunnel, it was quiet, but heavy. The air felt thick, like something old was watching. Jack turned on his wrist light, its soft glow revealing faded alien markings on the walls. "What is this place?" he asked. Thala didn't answer. She knelt and placed her hand on a glowing panel on the wall. A low hum echoed, and a hidden door slid open with a hiss. "A test chamber," she said softly. "Long before your people came, my ancestors used this place to train warriors. Few entered, even fewer returned." Jack hesitated. "You've been here before?" "Once. I was too young to finish the trial. And now?" Thala looked back at him. "Now we have no choice." Inside, the temperature dropped. Mist curled around their feet. The floor lit up with strange symbols that moved under there. Steps. Jacker stayed at the entrance, growling low, refusing to enter. Jack looked behind. The sandstorm had completely swallowed the outside world. No turning back now. They moved deeper. The walls began to change. Stone turned to polished black. Metal. Strange echoes filled the air, like whispers in an ancient language. Jack felt his scar burn lightly. Then the door slammed shut behind them. The lights changed, and the room came alive. From the floor, tall figures rose, shadows of warriors made of light and smoke. Their eyes glowed red. They raised energy spears and charged. Jack stepped back in shock. "They're not real, right?" "They feel real," Thala said grimly. "That's all that matters." She grabbed Jack's hand and pulled him into a side tunnel. One of the light warriors followed, moving unnaturally fast. It stabbed toward them. Thala blocked with her spear, sparks flying from the clash. "Can't we shut it down?" Jack yelled. "No, we pass. Or we die." Another warrior appeared in front of Jack. Instinct kicked in. He ducked, rolled, and grabbed a piece of alien metal from the floor. He swung hard straight through the illusion, but it exploded in a burst of light. "They can be broken," he said. "For now," Thala warned. The deeper they went, the more complex the trial became. Fire traps burst from the walls. Spinning blades of energy blocked the path. Jack and Thala dodged, ducked, and climbed. At one point, they had to jump across a collapsing bridge above a pit of glowing blue mist. Jack nearly fell. Thala caught his hand at the last second. "You fall, I fall," she said. They pressed on. Eventually, they reached the heart of the chamber. A round platform floated above a pool of liquid metal. In the center was a pedestal with a glowing sphere. It pulsed softly. Jack stepped forward. His scar burned again. The sphere pulsed harder. Thala looked nervous. That's what they were protecting. He touched it. The platform shook. The light flashed. Memories, not his own, rushed into his mind. Flashes of children in glass tubes, screaming, warriors falling. A scientist placing a small boy into an escape pod. He must survive. He's the last key. They must never find him. Jack dropped the sphere, gasping. Thala stared at him. "What did you see?" "I was here as a child. They used this place to make me something. Something I'm not sure I wanted to be." She didn't move. "Then it's true." "What is?" "You weren't just part of the project. You were the project." Suddenly, the floor cracked. The entire platform shook as a loud roar echoed not from a machine. Something else had awakened. Liquid metal below began to bubble. A shape rose from it, huge, armored, and breathing. Jack backed away. "What is that?" Thala pulled him behind her. The final trial. The creature's eyes opened bright blue like Jack's scar. "Run?" He whispered. She shook her head. "No," she said. "We fight." The chamber had gone quiet. The trial guardian, the massive creature of liquid metal, had stopped moving. Its body had returned beneath the glowing pool. Whatever test it was meant to carry out, it had ended. For now, but Jack didn't feel safe. His heart still pounded. His scar still burned. And Thala. She wouldn't look at him. They stepped out of the chamber, back through the tunnels, covered in dust and bruises. Jacker was waiting at the entrance. He let out a low growl as soon as he saw them, then walked forward and brushed his snout against Thala's shoulder. She didn't respond. She just stood there, silent and tense. Jack finally spoke. "What is it? You've been quiet since we left the core." Thala clenched her fists. "You touched the sphere." "Yes, and it reacted to you," she said slowly. "It didn't reject you. It accepted you." Jack nodded. "It showed me visions. I think it's part of my memory. Like a backup." Thala turned, her voice shaking. "Then you really are him." Jack stepped forward. "Who?" She didn't answer directly. Instead, she knelt down in front of Jacker. Her fingers gently pulled open a small hatch behind his armored neck. Jack hadn't noticed it before. Click. A sound like steam escaping filled the air. Then armor began sliding away. Piece by piece. Jacker didn't growl. Didn't resist. The great beast's body shimmered, and for the first time, Jack saw what lay underneath. Not a wild monster, but something humanoid. Something once sentient, pale, rough skin covered in scars. Cybernetic tubes ran across his spine. Eyes familiar, glowing blue, blinked slowly, not with rage but pain. Jack stepped back in shock. "He's alive?" "His name," Thala said quietly, "was Kalen." Jack's breath caught. That name. It was in the vision. Thala stood and looked Jack in the eyes. "He was my brother." Silence fell between them like a falling moon. "He was the first of us to survive the chamber's final stage," she continued. "But they pushed him further. Too far. They said he could be made into the perfect defender. When he woke up, he wasn't Kalen anymore." Jack looked at the creature. "No, the man sitting like a broken statue. He followed me anyway." Thala whispered, like he still remembered. "Some part of him knew I was his sister. That's why he listens. That's why he protects." Jack's voice trembled. "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because," she said, "you're the only one who can bring him back." Jack shook his head. "I'm not special." "Yes, you are," she snapped. "The scar, the sphere, the chamber, it all responds to you. My brother was made using your DNA template." Jack's legs felt weak. He sat on a stone, head spinning. "My DNA?" he whispered. She nodded. "They used your pattern as the base model to create soldiers like him, like us." Jack looked at her. "Then, are we related?" "No," she said gently. "Not by blood, but by design? Yes." Jack let out a bitter laugh. "So I'm not just a messenger or explorer. I'm the source. You are the spark," she said. "And that spark might be the only way to wake him up." Jack stood and approached Kalen. The creature blinked again, slow and heavy. A soft mechanical whine came from his chest. "Can he hear me?" "I believe so," Thala said. Jack reached out and placed his hand on the center of Kalen's chest. A soft light began to glow, from Jack's hand, from Kalen's heart, and from the scar on both Thala and Jack. The glow formed a pattern, 3 points, connected like a triangle. Then, Kalen spoke. One word. "Home." Jack stepped back, eyes wide. Thala's hands flew to her mouth. She dropped to her knees beside her brother. Tears fell from her eyes. For the first time since they met, she looked small, vulnerable, like a sister who had been strong for two. "Long, Kalen?" she whispered, but Kellen's head dropped again. The light faded. He didn't move after that. Not gone, but not awake either. Jack stood still, heart heavy. He had been searching for a research team. Now he had found a lost warrior, a forgotten sister, and a truth buried under armor and pain, and they were all tied to him. The sky turned orange, not the warm glow of a sunset, but the violent burn of approaching war. Jack stood on the cliff's edge, watching the swarm rise from the distant dunes. Dozens of drones, fast, armed, human-made, and they were coming straight for them. Behind him, Thala tightened the armor over Kellen's sleeping body. He was still unmoving, still trapped in his hybrid state, but his systems pulsed softly now. That meant one thing. He was waking up, and the humans wanted to stop it. Jack's communicator beeped. He hesitated, then answered. A cold voice crackled through the line. "Explorer Jack Devrin. This is Commander Harlan. We have your coordinates. Step away from the alien. We are retrieving the asset." Jack's throat went dry. What asset? The prototype Guardian. Cody name, JX001, the first of Project Horizon. Jack froze. That name, Horizon. He remembered it from the vision in the chamber. Thala stepped beside him. "What are they saying?" Jack looked at her, conflicted. "They want him back," he whispered. "They called him JX001. Thala's jaw tightened. "That's not a name, that's a chain," the voice spoke again. "Jack, you were never meant to go this deep. But you've served your role. Step aside now and you'll be rewarded. We'll erase your record. You can go home." Jack looked out at the desert. Home? What home? He had no real family, no past, just pieces. And the only ones who had shown him the truth were standing beside him, now an alien girl and her armored brother. He cut the signal. No answer. Just silence. Then the sky screamed. The first blast hit the ridge, sending rock flying. Jack grabbed Thala and dove behind a ledge. Jacker Kalen rose with a metallic growl, his armor shifting. He took the brunt of a second blast with his shoulder, protecting both of them. Dozens of drones swarmed in. "Jacker, guard the path!" Thala shouted. The beast charged forward, crashing into the air like a living tank. Drones exploded against his metal hide. Some tried to circle, but his tail whipped through them like fire. Jack turned to Thala. "There's too many." She tossed him a weapon, a pulse rifle made from human and alien tech. "Then we fight, together." For the first time, Jack didn't hesitate. He fired. One drone went down. Then another. He wasn't a soldier, but something inside him had changed. He wasn't just the key. He was the lock they couldn't control. But the swarm kept coming. From the smoke, a new shape appeared, a large black drone, double the size of the others. It hovered low, heavy, and quiet. A voice came from it. "Live. Sharp. Human. Jack Devrin," the voice echoed. "You're standing in the way of peace." Jack shouted back. "Peace isn't built on chains. You're being used." "That alien girl, she's twisted your mind." Jack aimed the rifle. "No. She helped me remember who I am. Then you leave us no choice." The drone opened. A weapon inside began charging. Thala ran toward it, but was too far. Jack made his move. He threw down his rifle and ran forward, arms wide. He screamed. The weapon paused. Silence. Then a soft metallic thud behind him. Kalen, awake now, stepped beside Jack. Half-beast, half-man. Fully alive. His voice came low, deep, and broken. "She is my sister. You will not take me." Then Kalen charged. The weapon fired. The shot hit him square in the chest. Smoke. Dust. Screams. Jack fell back, coughing, eyes burning, through the haze. Kalen still stood, wounded but alive. He lifted the weapon drone with both hands and ripped it in two. The rest of the drones began to retreat, their command system cut off. The sky was quiet again, the horizon burning, but the battle was over. Later, as the sky turned deep red, Jack sat beside Kalen, who now rested peacefully. His armor had folded back, revealing more of the man underneath. Thala sat nearby, silent. Jack finally asked, "What now?" Thala looked up, her eyes full of quiet strength. "Now," she said, "we show the galaxy what they tried to hide." Jack smiled faintly. "No more running?" She shook her head. "No more chains." Jack looked to the fire. The horizon still burned, but now it burned with light, not war. Hope. The wind was still. For the first time in days, the desert was silent. No machines in the sky, no commands in Jack's earpiece. No running, no fighting. Just breath. And choice. Kalen lay under a rock overhang, his chest rising and falling slowly. His body, once beast, now half man, was healing. His mind was still quiet, but no longer locked in silence. His eyes moved when Thala spoke. His fingers curled slightly when Jack sat close. Jack stood alone at the old gate, the one Thala once guarded. "You shall not pass," she had growled. Now she stood beside him again, quiet, watching. "I used to think I was lost," Jack said. "A nobody. Just a survivor with a scar and no past." "You were more than that," Thala said. "You were the reason they kept looking for this place." Jack nodded. "They built Kalen from me, or a version of me." He looked at her. "But he became something better." Thala smiled softly. "He became himself. Because I believed he could." Jack turned to face the canyon, the last barrier. The path beyond the gate, the ancient ruin that once held the chamber, the tests, the lies. He now had the key to unlock it, and something inside told him once he passed through it, there would be no turning back. Thala stepped in front of him. Her voice was steady, but her hands trembled. "This is where I once stopped you. This time, I won't." Jack tilted his head. "Then why are you standing in the way?" "Because," she said, "before you go, there's something I need to know." He waited. She took a slow breath. "If you walk through that gate, are you leaving us?" He blinked. "I mean," she continued, her eyes searching his face, "will you go back to your people? Your world? Leave this all behind me, Kalen, the truth?" Jack stepped forward, gently placing his hand over her arm. "I don't even know who my people are anymore," he said. "But I know this. You are the first one who saw me not as a threat, not as a tool, but as a person." She looked down. "You saw me too," he smiled. "I don't want to leave." Her eyes glistened. "Then don't." Behind them, Kalen let out a soft rumble, a deep, almost peaceful growl, as if giving his blessing. Together, they walked through the gate. Past the last wall. And into the heart of the ruins. Inside, the ancient lights pulsed again. Walls responded to Jack's presence. Symbols floated from the floor. It felt alive, like the ruin itself had waited for him. At the center, a glowing orb hovered above a pedestal. Not like the one in the chamber. This was brighter, warmer. Jack reached out, and the orb moved closer. But this time, it didn't show pain. It showed possibilities. Images formed in light. Thala rebuilding her village. Kalen standing proud. His mind restored. Children playing around his armored feet. Humans and aliens working together. No chains. No secrets. No projects. Just peace. The orb entered Jack's chest like a breath of air. He gasped, but did not fall. Instead, the markings on his arm glowed brighter. The scar disappeared. He had accepted what he was. Now he could choose what he would be. Outside, the horizon was still burning from the sun, but now it glowed like dawn. Not fire. Thala took his hand as they walked back. Behind them, the ruins sealed themselves, not as a prison, but as a memory. A closed chapter. Jack looked at Kalen, who stood now, swaying slightly but on his feet, and smiling, a real smile. Jack turned to Thala. "So, what now?" She grinned. "Now we ride."